So welcome. Last week, we all celebrated the Geelong Business Excellence Awards in front of a sellout crowd at the Geelong Arts Centre. And today I have 3 of our 20 winners sitting down and having a conversation with me today. So I have our Business of the Year Kennedy's Group, and welcome Shannon Kennedy.
Thank you, Mel.
Have our Business Leader of the Year, Aamir Qutub from Enterprise Monkey, and I've also got David Greenwood from Centre Stage, our young entrepreneur. So congratulations all on your wins.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Now, there's one thing that is for sure that you all share in common, and that's the commitment to excellence in our region. You have different journeys, but what I want to do today is just unpack a little bit about the excellence that you've driven in our region and how you've got here. So what I might do is I'll start with you, Shannon. So Shannon, Kennedy's Group has become a trusted and respected brand amongst Geelong. But before all of the accolades, can you take me a little bit back to the early days and when you realised that Kennedy's Group as a business was really something special?
Well, I've had a different journey to most. I've only ever been at Kennedy, so I'm second generation. So we're 50 years in January, which is very exciting for us. So we're putting plans in place to celebrate that now. But yeah, the early years, it was much smaller. We were one branch out of Melbourne. And then we made the move, the family moved down here actually in 98, and Dad bought another small plumbing business here and opened up the doors as Kennedy's, and we've grown from that point forward to where we are today. So it was a small team. Dad bought his first ever apprentice down with him, who's our longest serving employee, Rick, been with us over 45 years. So he joined Dad here, and I was our first apprentice, and we kicked it off at that. And then we've grown to what we are today.
I would love to hear maybe off air is talking about the celebration of what you have planned for the 50 years in January, and it sounds like Rick is somebody that may need to feature if you've got that level of tenure.
We wheel him out. He's front and centre a lot.
Now, Aamir, you arrived in Geelong as an international student, and now you're one of our most influential leaders across our region. Can you talk me through your early childhood or early days and how that shaped you as the leader that you are today?
Sure. Before I speak, I just want to make sure that Hollywood showgirl is not over here to tap on the shoulder.
So for those listening that may not have been one of those ticket holders on the night, we did have a showgirl who we were pretty strict with time in terms of the presentations. And Aamir, there's been a lot of recognition for your speech on the night, but yes, you did get tapped on the shoulder. We don't have her here today.
That's good. Then I can speak freely and I can keep going.
You can.
Well. My journey started in India, a small regional area, very similar to Geelong, but probably bigger population, called Aligarh. And where I grew up, we had sporadic electricity. So like we would have power for 4 or 5 hours, then it would be dark after that. We didn't have any internet or computer as well. And while growing up, I've used to see the aeroplane sort of like passing over the head. And I was like, would I ever be able to sit in a flight and travel somewhere? So we didn't have anything as such, but I just all have these dreams and ambitions that I just wanted to do something with my life, something meaningful, but didn't know what it was. I somehow ended up getting a scholarship to do my Bachelor's of Engineering from Aligarh University. And then I started working as a production engineer in Honda. But I was not really happy with my job because I was trying to do a lot of things, but there was a lot of hierarchy over there. I was trying to innovate, but couldn't happen. So I ended up being in a position where I was almost suffocating in my job. And I was like, no, I can't do it anymore. So one day I just went there and resigned. I was like, okay, I'm going to start my own business. But I didn't know what to do. That was the stage. Somehow I ended up in Australia to do my MBA from Deakin University, got a scholarship to come and study over here, and then started to build the business from here.
And on the night you mentioned that when you did come here, just trying to find that role that was fulfilling for you, you'd applied for 300 roles and had 300 rejections. So how did you, which is astonishing when you see the leader that you are today, and what a missed opportunity for those that were the recipients of your resume, but how did you stay determined throughout that period?
Look, I had actually almost burnt all of the bridges. I had taken a lot of money from the family, loan to come to Australia. I couldn't go back and disappoint everyone as well. I was determined to do something. So I was like, okay, I need to figure it out step by step, find a job. So I started to reduce my CV, like from a mechanical engineer to just a graduate and so on. And then I reduced my CV to a level where I could apply for a cleaning job. I applied for 4 or 5 cleaning jobs and then finally got a job to work as a cleaner at the Avalon Air Show. And then I started throwing newspapers in the night. And I did that for 1.5 years. And like that time I was studying as well. So studying during the day, then trying to build my business contacts. Then I would come back at like 10 or 11 in the night. And then I had the night shift from 3 a.m. So I had 4 hours and I had 2 options, whether to eat or to sleep. So I would just go to sleep straight away and then the whole cycle would start. Finally found an internship at ICT Geelong, then got an opportunity to become the general manager. And that's when I started to establish my business.
It's a great story about grit and determination, which you often hear from really successful business leaders. So kudos to you, Aamir. So David, you have established and are running Australia's largest amateur theatre company. I'm really curious to know what your spark was and what motivated you to create this performance business with creativity and a real focus around community.
Yeah, the good question. And for me, it's always been about family. And I noted when I grew up and was involved in theatre and even just small business, I never found a place where I felt like it was my home. It was like a second family. And so we had this idea. I was actually overseas at the time with my family, and I said, I was a young, immature, 17, 18, actually I'm probably still immature, but we were over there and we said, why not do it ourselves? So spoke with Dad and said, yep, let's get it over. Before I got back to Australia, I had my ABN set up. I already employed my first 2 staff members remotely back then before the days of Zoom. And we got going. And since then, it was always the goal and ambition is to know everyone's name that walks into our door or is one of our customers or is one of our actors, because often actors and theatre people are taught that you're a number and you're just part of the system. And so the difference where we always create a family that everyone knows everyone. And to this day, we still have our group, our family. We actually call it the Centre Stage family. So we have thousands of members in that, and we know them all by name and their kids and children and everyone that we can think of and their dogs. And it's just our goal to know everyone, and that's what's made it successful.
You all have 3 very different beginnings, but a real shared vision and purpose and determination. So, Aamir, for you, every business reaches a turning point, whether that's been a decision, a risk, or a strategy that they've executed. But what was that moment for you that really accelerated the growth for Enterprise Monkey?
So I would say it goes back to around 6 years ago when we decided that we actually looked into our vision and our purpose and what we wanted to do as a business. And we created a very clear vision that we want to be the best software and AI company in the world and actually help businesses optimize and automate their processes through that. And then we invested a lot of efforts and energy into R&D. So we had like people full-time working on. So we were investing all of our profits in R&D, in learning about AI, developing AI solutions. And that actually, when ChatGPT came in 2022, that gave us that advantage because we had already invested in this space, and we emerged out as a leader in this space from there. So I would say that was the turning point.
And I might throw to you, Shannon, actually. So from Aamir's just mentioned vision and purpose, and really understanding what that looked like for Enterprise Monkey was a key driver internally to be able to grow externally. So as a business owner and with the size of Kennedy's Group as well, how do you build culture where your people really buy into, they want to stay, they want to grow, and they feel comfortable to contribute?
I think to start with, I think a unique thing about Kennedy's is that family feel. And we often get feedback from our employees around that culture that family brings to the business, and they feel valued to be a part of it and to contribute. But obviously commitment, I think a commitment from my part and the other leaders in the business as well. You lead from the front, and that culture brings everyone else on the journey. And if someone's not there for that reason or for the right reasons, they find out themselves often. they'll leave themselves. We don't have to show them the door. And I think add to that as well, we invest a lot in training and in our people as well, and I think they appreciate that.
You lead from the front. I love that. And also from the increasing the capability of your teams. We saw that the Geelong Chamber works in partnership with the City of Greater Geelong to deliver the Geelong Small Business Festival. And I think every time one of our team were there, we saw somebody, a representative from Kennedy's group, take part in an event.
Yeah, the guys, especially the corporate team, and Maddie and Jen and Jared, everyone's really involved and excited to get involved with the Chamber. And anytime anything comes up, there's no shortage on moving the tickets in our office.
Awesome to hear you are very involved, which is great. So, David, for many young entrepreneurs, growth can at times feel exciting but overwhelming. So, for those young entrepreneurs listening today, what advice could you give around mindset to essentially scale your business?
Yeah, I think for the bulk of the time, it's really scary. I still think, every day, why are we doing this? Are these the risks that we're taking? But it's having that person in your corner, whether it's your partner or a good friend or someone, a mentor or a business coach, but having someone you can constantly go and talk to that's unfiltered, unrestricted, and will not judge you for what you've done or what you're trying to do, and know what the end goal is. So I'm lucky I've got two of those in my life, and a coach as well that's based out of Geelong. So I've got someone that I can really talk to and go, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm really struggling with. Today's a really tough day. And then we get to days like this and we're like, we can actually celebrate, because some of those really tough decisions or days you wake up and you're like, why am I doing this? Or even sleepless nights we've all had is all worthwhile in the long run. It's just, what risk can I take that's not going to put my family's life on the line in terms of financially and, out of home, and how can I protect my family as much as I can? But how can I keep pushing the boundaries, and how can we make theatre better? How can we improve the dynamics in the team? And that's the risk that we take daily. But for any young entrepreneurs, I'd say have someone in your corner, have someone you can completely trust. It doesn't have to be someone that's your best friend. It can be someone that you just feel confident talking to and will give you information back or just listen.
Somebody that I had the pleasure of working with in my role prior to the Chamber, she is incredible in terms of leadership. She travels the world interviewing the world's best leaders, and she often referred to it as a sparring partner, because you need somebody also to challenge you and give that transparent feedback. So sometimes when you're the lead role within the organisation, you just need that external opinion to just, ideate and just get that honest feedback back. Yeah. So, I loved what you said, and it just reminded me of the term sparring partners. Shannon, you mentioned at the start of this that Kennedy's group has really diversified over the years. So what was the biggest strategic bet that you placed that was risky at the time, might have felt really uncomfortable, but has paid off?
That's a good question. I mean, apart from individual resources over a period of time where you might be investing in a person and thinking, is this going to work? The business got to a size fairly recently where we could go next step. And the biggest one for us was we had an external audit done of the business. And what we were looking for was what's the next big step that we need to take to propel ourselves to the next level. And at that point, we had a lot of our resources outsourced. So all of our accounting, all our finance work, payroll, everything was done external to the business. So the first recommendation that come back was to bring all that inside. So that's when we decided to form the corporate office, and that was a big investment because we went out and found a CFO, a lot of other managers. We committed to OH&S, full-time OH&S manager, full-time marketing manager, full-time people and culture. So quite a big investment, but you ask me now, it's paid off in spades.
And it's been critical for you to scale, and you hear this often with those businesses that are in that transition phase from going from that smaller business and they're scaling, and then they get to that position where, and often those businesses are actually outsourcing many roles, but it's exciting and you've just got to back yourself to go, well, these are our ambitions. And how far in advance do you as an organisation typically work? Have you got 1 year goals, 3 year goals, 5 year goals?
That's a good one. We've been pretty organic over the journey, but we're getting to a period now where we're talking 3-5 years, what we want it to look like, especially with that principal contracting stuff that you'll hear us talk about regularly. We see that as a real opportunity to springboard us to where we want to be in the next 5 to 10 years. So that's very much a key component to what we work with daily.
Great. And David, you work with young people every day, and that requires a certain level of leadership. You don't just work with those young people and the youth of today, you work with their families as well. So can you talk a little bit about how working with those families has shaped your leadership style?
Yeah, absolutely. So I work with children from the ages of 3 weeks and above. That's what I'm legally allowed to hire. We have a special license in the film industry. And a big part of it is being on the journey with them, because a lot of the time, not just for the child, and it's the parent's first time, being on a professional film shoot for the first time or traveling on a plane. So, quite often we are currently the only agents in Victoria, talent management agents, that travel with our youth talent to a job. And that's something that we do, and we don't get paid for it. It's just something that we do because we get them on their first shoot, get them feeling very comfortable. They might film an ad for the AFL or Vegemite or whatever the case may be. And then they book 6 other jobs that year, and they are so much more experienced on set. They know exactly what's going on. And it means that also they're not being taken advantage of because they've had that first training with us. And generally we try and get along as much as they can, but always on the first one we're out there with them. And so a lot of that journey is really with the parents and making sure that people understand what child safety is, and employers out there, because we're obviously working with third-party contractors, and just trying to take everyone on that journey to go, no, we've got our most vulnerable people here. They have no idea what's going on, but we need to lead them on the right path and know what's acceptable and what's not acceptable in this business.
It's really important within that space. You touch on it in terms of child safety, but coming back to why you've created the business you have and the success that you've had, creating that family environment, you can see that that's your competitive advantage, and this
Absolutely.
is why you have such a successful established business. So congratulations.
And Geelong's the best place for it.
Amen. Now, Aamir, you often talk about purpose-driven leadership. So in practical terms, what does that look like at Enterprise Monkey, and how are you encouraging your people to highly perform and have accountability?
So it all starts with really embedding what our purpose is within anyone who joins our organization as a part of it. And we had people, like, it's our 12th year in business, and we have people who have been with us for almost like 10 years or 11 years. And they've stayed with our business because they believe in our vision and what we want to do. And we are really passionate about solving problems. So we are always looking for really complicated problems to solve. So like if Shannon comes to us and say, hey, there's an opportunity in our business or in our space, and we think that an AI solution can solve it. So we would actually put all of our energy in trying to solve that problem. And then that keeps the team excited. So we say that every day is a new day at Enterprise Monkey. We are looking to solve new problems, and that keeps the team driven. And of course, sometimes we don't know whether we would have a solution for that or not, but we just say we are going to try, and if we fail, that's all right as well. We'll provide the support, and I sometimes gets my hands dirty with the team members to make sure that it's fun, because ultimately it's also about having fun. So if I'm waking up and I'm just not feeling like I have to go to work and it just doesn't feel right. So I tell it to all of my team members is that if you are not having fun, just let us know. We'll make sure that we give you enough problems and challenges that you're going to have fun. And if as long as you're enjoying your work, we are going to make sure that it's productive and profitable. Everything can happen as long as you are finding the right problems and having fun solving them.
You've just spoken beautifully about having a really collaborative approach and just having communication, open communication with your team members as well. And just I've heard this comment around this: give you 100%, but there's circumstances that happen in life and we can't always just bring our 100%. So if it is a particular day like that, just providing a flexible working environment and just having those honest conversations really does increase your employee satisfaction, which in turn will result in longer retention of your staff. So I loved hearing you just talk about the collaborative side of your business with your team. And can you tell me a little bit more about the growth of your team? So you started the business as a sole trader?
I did, yes. In my brother-in-law's garage here in Geelong, and grew from there. So we are a team of 80 at the moment. So we've got some really amazing developers, technical people, but a lot of people in our leadership team are actually non-technical as well. So like our VP of operations, she was a flight attendant when she joined our organization, started as an admin, became chief of staff, then moved, and she was actually overseas at that point of time. She moved here, started as project manager, and then sort of like grew up to the VP of operations. And we've got so many stories like this. We also run a program where we actually take students who are not able to complete their education, not interested in their education. We bring them on board, train them on what we do, and then give them employment from there. So we've got around 8 people from that cohort as well. So the growth has been, I would say, it's pretty good. And the aim is to, for like by the end of next year, have like 100 people in our team.
Great. I started off as a student myself and was an intern, and that's how I essentially went into my career. So I think it's really important to look at making sure you do have that generational coverage within your organisation, and that you are supportive of learning. Shannon, I could see you nodding. I know that we just spoke about Kennedy's group being really focused on professional development, but if you're hiring based on that cultural fit, that personality, and you can train the rest, it can really do wonders for your business. So that's great to hear. And it's also great to hear that culture doesn't happen by accident. There's a regular theme in the way that you all speak, and it's really clear that you have that vision and keep coming back to that purpose.
Your employees want to see opportunity for growth too, Mel, just on that. So from our perspective, we do our best to try and remove the ceiling. And it's much easier when your business is growing to remove that ceiling. And so that they can see an opportunity to grow and move up through the ranks.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And success doesn't happen without its setbacks, Shannon. So can you talk through what mistakes as an organisation you've potentially made that, and how you went about turning that around, or what your kind of toughest periods were as a business?
Our toughest period would have been near on 20 years ago, and I still remember it vividly. It was another family member was involved in the business at the time, wasn't going so well. So Dad was director at that point. So the tough conversations were had, and I had to step up. So we were living full-time in Geelong, but I had to go run the Melbourne side of the business. So here I was for the next 18 years up and down the highway, but thrown straight into the wolf's den. Not everyone liked the decision. So here I was as a 30-year-old trying to navigate my way through that. So that was very tough. Felt like at the time, as much as there's support and people to bounce off in Dad and a couple others, it felt very lonely. And so that was a tough time personally for me, but a lot of personal growth through then too. The tough times brings.
So is there something that you set out with purpose to change that loneliness? Like we had David speak about having these mentors and coaches. Did you just wait it out with time and just wait for the team to really give you that respect, or did you actually do something quite proactive to change that?
I was fortunate that there was some key staff, one being my auntie who had a key role at our Williamstown branch at the time. Another one was a project manager by the name of Adam who'd been there longer than I had, and he could see I was trying to do the right things and where I wanted to take it. So they both had my back, and I still tell them to this day, without them there, it might not have worked. But the other regrets I have are maybe having the wrong people in the business for too long. So being young, I'd take the view of, they'll come around. But those people just don't come around. And I wish I had made those decisions a much earlier and much quicker. And to be honest, I look back at the journey. I've been in the business 30 years now. I think if I did it all again with an old head on young shoulders, I honestly think I could do it probably in half the time.
Aamir, you had a bit of a giggle then. Yes. What was going through your mind that was resonating for you?
Well, especially the point about the decision about like retaining people, especially when you know that they are not right fit for the business. And I've learned this hard way. Sometimes when you are in a relationship, whatever relationship that is, and this is a business relationship, and you know that this person is not able to perform really well, and you're trying to work with them and help with them, it's impacting the business as well. What I've identified is that if you've got those players in the business, then it affects the performance of everyone else as well. And then this person is also not happy, but then they need someone to make that decision for them. So I actually and I was very young when I had to make some of these calls, but like sitting across someone and saying, hey, we don't think this is working. This is why it's not working. and of course giving them the time and support to go and find something else. But having those brutal, honest conversation with the people in your team is extremely important. And like people know me to be humble and nice and so on, but sometimes I can be, when required, very, very honest about the things. And I've found is this, like the best thing that you can do with anyone, any person, is actually give them a very clear and honest direction and honest feedback. So that's something that we have embedded in our values now, which is transparency. Like it's an internal transparency with our clients. What's working, what's not working, we just put it out and then help them navigate through that.
And Aamir, to take a leaf out of your book from the presentation, support at home and strength at home is so important.
It is, yes.
It gives you the platform to, leave every day, walk out the door, and know that what you're coming back to is structured and supported.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were just talking about that before we came on here about Aamir's beautiful speech and how he acknowledged his wife, Sarah, and which kind of, Shannon, you were saying, put you a little bit to shame.
Made the rest of us look bad.
Yeah, but that support at home is really important, and difficult conversations are part of business, and the more you can get comfortable with them. Nobody wants to have a difficult conversation, but if you can approach it with the best of intention, and that employee no doubt has things that they also want to be honest about and say, and you ultimately just want people that really want to be there and are committed to being there. So I think the power of language and the way that you articulate yourselves in those moments, but the way that you've just spoken, you've talked about team values, but also personally, you can see that transparency and honesty is a value of yours. And I think you can still be a lovely individual, but at times just in business, you wouldn't be here if you didn't have to make difficult decisions throughout your years as business leaders. So Aamir, entrepreneurs do often face doubt or burnout. Can you talk through a period in your career where you've questioned your path, and how did you overcome that?
Sure. Look, the journey of doubt and burnout happens to me every day. When I wake up, there are a lot of decisions that I make.
You've got a child, it can happen as well.
That's true. Yes. And doubt what I'm doing with my life. But also with business, because we are growing so fast, innovating so fast, and I'm making a lot of decisions that probably everyone does not agree with as well. And I put my business under a lot of risk, because every time you are innovating, you are putting your business under the risk. So that keeps going. But when I had just started my business, third year into the business, our cash flow was struggling really bad. We had clients, we had people, but it just wasn't working for us. So I ended up taking a loan, but I didn't have any history over here in Australia. So I took a loan from one of the private lending companies, started at $50,000, moved to $100,000, sort of went up to $150,000. I was 27 at that point of time. And it was a big amount for me. And I had calls from those lenders all the time. There's a lot of pressure to pay the suppliers and things like that. And that's when I actually doubted the whole, whether I'm the right fit to run this business or not as well. And almost went into depression, had anxiety, panic attacks, and so on. And so somehow emerged from there, reinvented the business. And at that point of time, we decided that we can't be everything to everyone. We need to identify who our clients are and what we charge from them. So we had to let a lot of our clients go. So we had to have those difficult conversations with the clients saying, we really love to work with you, but probably that's not the right fit. This is how we are going to work, and we want you to follow our process. And so the business grew from there. But it has not been a smooth journey from here. We're still making those decisions. We launched Angel Next Door. We have recently launched the podcast, the AI Academy, and I'm just putting a lot of money in AI education at the moment. Now, I have a belief that's going to pay off, but that just puts, again, the business under a lot of pressure, and that pressure comes on me as well. But, that's the fun. If you don't do it, and if you just keep going in the same direction, where's the fun in that? And how would you grow and innovate if you are not able to take those risks?
It's that amazing diagram that's so simple, and it's got the two circles that overlap each other, and it kind of points to the level of comfort and then the magic that happens if you step out of your comfort zone and getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yeah. And you can see, you look at Kennedy's group and Alan took on that business and started that at the age of 22. And so the risk involved in going as a sole trader back then, and all these risks you can see have paid off. And that's why you've taken these awards last week and that you're sitting with me today. So David, you're young in business, but you've weathered some storms. So what challenges tested you the most, and what has that taught you about resilience?
Yeah, the obvious one in the room is COVID lockdowns. We were a day from opening our show in theatre, and so we lost 200 grand in 24 hours on a show. But that was a huge challenge as a small business to overcome, and we were, very lucky that we remained open in some capacity through the whole COVID lockdowns. We had students dancing in parks and from home, and staging shows online and doing ticketing through online portals. And we were the only local theatre company and production company that stayed open through COVID. But when we came out of that, we were ready and going already. We already had a customer base. We had grown our market. And so we were able to recoup that. So our biggest achievement was actually paying back all our debts, and which was huge at the time, keeping our staff employed, keeping all our volunteers engaged, because they were so loyal to us from that point onwards that we never had to worry. Whatever was thrown at us after that, we're like, not an issue. We've got our team around us. So, and that was the second time we've had some awful shows and shows that just didn't sell, and we get to it now. We're like, oh, we've lost 100 grand. Here we go again. It's an awful environment to be in, and but the actual wins that come out of when you do have those successes, we've staged 150 odd shows now, and there's probably 3 shows that haven't performed for us, and we go, well, we've had luck 97% of the time. So we're operating on those wins, and we know we can come out of these holes, and we have to adjust and pivot, as we like to say, and modify. But we've always got our team there ready to go and ready to face the challenge. So we're constantly, we're like ducks, with the water, and trying to tread water. But it's just about showing up every day, being there, and doing the work.
And community. A lot of what you've just spoken about, without that community that you had, then getting through COVID would have been a different story.
Absolutely.
And was it during COVID where you also looked to, we talked to Shannon about diversifying the business offerings. So it was during COVID where you also did the same, wasn't it? And how did you go about taking that risk if you were already if you lost 200 grand in 24 hours?
Yeah, it was a huge. So we were primarily a production company staging musical theatre shows, and we're like, well, this is clearly not the future for our organisation. So our education program grew massively. We had a talent management agency that just, we took off all the little ceilings on that and just let it go crazy, and it's just grown to become its own little machine, and just really changing the dynamic. I even quit my other full-time job that I had at the time because of this has to work, and we made it work, and that was the general gist of it. That if we didn't adapt and modify daily, as we all do, we wake up every morning and go, oh, that project's clearly not working. We have to modify and twist this a little bit, or this staff member, their passions are on this project, but I really think that if I can push them into this other one, then maybe that's the calling. But yeah, it's constantly modifying, adapting, changing, and not sleeping.
The sleep seems to be a bit of a regular theme. So, and just talking about shows, and that not all of them are as successful. But when David arrived today, I had just had the Kinder chat blowing up about Frozen coming in March 2027, which no doubt my children will be incredibly excited about. So
that's huge. We're planning shows, 5 years in advance, because we're trying to secure rights and fly to the US to be the first company in Australia to get theatrical rights for certain shows. And Frozen was a big one for us to get. Just got to wait over a year now to actually see an audience there.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thanks.
Amir, you've touched a little bit around innovation, and we know that technology is really reshaping every industry. Can you talk to us about what trends you're seeing that every business in this region should be made aware of right now?
Sure. I think we are living in a very exciting as well as a very scary world, especially with what we are seeing, how AI is influencing each and every business out there. So no matter whether it's a construction business or a traditional business or a knowledge-based business, AI is actually influencing each and every part of the business, and not just one department, but every department. So what we are seeing is that, and I actually made a prediction 5 years ago that AI is going to be mainstream in the business are going to be using it, and which has happened, and a lot of people laughed at that point of time. I've got another prediction now. So by 2030, we'll have two types of business. First would be AI first business. Those would have really embraced AI in their business model as a whole, and they would be growing exponentially fast. And then we would have AI enabled business who would have used AI in some places, and they would be there, but they would be struggling to grow, and they or struggling to sustain. Now, if you listen carefully, I haven't mentioned businesses who don't embrace AI at all in this, because my prediction is that by 2027, we wouldn't have businesses who wouldn't have embraced AI. So either they would have embraced AI or they would have died, or they, unfortunately, because it wouldn't be possible for a business to operate without AI and be competitive and be out there. So, but the opportunity is that we are seeing a huge amount of small businesses, even like individual people, growing their businesses really fast with the help of AI. We are talking about small businesses with 2 or 3 people in the organization now reaching like millions of valuation. So the opportunity for any business out there to look at, okay, what do we do? What is the problem that we are solving? And now how can we actually use AI to solve that problem better and grow really fast is out there. Like, we are not constrained by resources or the number of staff or the finance. We can now use this amazing piece of technology that's out there to actually scale and grow our business exponentially fast. And that's the most exciting opportunity ever. Like, and that's the reason I am not able to sleep, because I just feel like this is the time. We missed the, like, I personally think I missed the internet era, I missed the mobile app era, but this is a time where you can create some amazing businesses, solve some amazing problems, of course, make a lot of money, but create a big impact in the world. And the opportunity is for everyone, whether it's person is technical or not technical, to embrace and adapt. So I would say, look at it right now. This is such a wonderful opportunity for you to like grow your business, find a new business. And this is the time for you to embrace AI.
And for those organisations that aren't adopting AI yet, what's your advice for them? Is it download ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, how should I be using AI in my business?
Yes, 100%. Like, it's a very simple one. Just say, hey, ChatGPT, and the way I prompt to ChatGPT, say, hey, in a minute, I'm going to ask you a question about how to grow my business using AI. But before that, ask me a question that will help you understand my business better. So what ChatGPT would come back is a series of questions. It's going to interview you and say, okay, tell me about this, blah, blah, blah. And then you answer those questions. And at the end, it's going to give you a strategy. And then you can work from there. But a very simple advice is, like, you don't need like a tech person to actually get started on this journey. Start with something simple like Copilot 365, ChatGPT. Look at how you can use AI within your business, and start with simple things like drafting emails and summarizing and analyzing, and then looking at every operations and every part in the business and thinking, can we do it better with the help of AI? And you just go from there.
And Shannon, you were nodding there, your organisation and yourself, you're using AI?
I just think if you're not embracing it, you're costing yourself money.
Yeah,
there's efficiencies that it's, we're only basically just touching on it now, and we've brought an external guy in to take us on the road and that journey and try and find more efficiencies and cost savings in it. And I just think you're going to struggle to be competitive in this environment as a business if you don't embrace it. Agreed.
David, you've already built something really special with Centre Stage. So what's next? What are there any big changes? What have you got planned?
Yeah, it is. Obviously, we all have our plans and how long we're going to do what the current is for so many years. So, personally, I have my own plans and where I want to be. But for what we're doing at Centre Stage, we're still actively pursuing a theatre in the north of Geelong, which is, a tough one that we've come over the last 5 years through planning and just getting an endorsement. But the goal is for a 500-seat theatre in the north of Geelong to support local grassroots organisations. So that's affordable, and that's the ultimate goal. And then, beyond that, it's just about, for our professional wing, is featuring local talent around the world. Like, we've had talent through Marvel and, TV commercials and The Block, and it's just about how do we get Geelong recognised for being the next hub of talent. And, if we have theme parks or Universal at Avalon Airport and we got the new movie studios happening in Port Melbourne, why shouldn't Geelong be where they get all the talent from? And that's our goal.
I just love that. This is what I love about working with the Geelong Chamber, the exposure to visionaries and organisations and just really hearing what everybody's different interpretation on what Geelong could be. And we've got so many amazing foundations, and why couldn't we make that happen? So I really love and find that really inspiring, David. Shannon, Kennedy's Group has a long history. We know you've mentioned you're celebrating 50 years in January, but you keep modernising. So what does the next chapter look like for Kennedy's?
We'll continue to build on what we already do at the moment. So we see more opportunity in the plumbing, the asbestos, the mould, the soil contamination. Those jobs will keep presenting and we'll keep building in those relationships. Repeat work is really important to us, and those relationships are important, and that's what continues that ball rolling down the road. But like I touched on before, that principal contractor space where we can control the whole job, we see that as the next big step for Kennedy's. So rather than us coming in doing the asbestos component, the plumbing component, we'll coordinate the whole job for the client. So we'll be that one touch point, the one source of communication, and dealing with one project manager, and we'll control the whole job for them. Also takes a layer of additional costs that the projects hit too when you start bringing a builder in. So they'll put margin on, and they'll bring the plumber in, and then they'll put margin on that. So we think we can bring cost savings to the client as well, and that's our point of difference.
Fantastic. There's quite a few things, like David, even before you just spoke about like where you want to go, and you spoke personally about yourself and then the organisation. Shannon, you've spoken quite a lot about the team. Every time you speak, you bring in the team and what that vision looks like, and you've just talked about the end client there as well. So it's just important when you are making these strategic decisions and you're looking at your growth strategy that you are looking at all those different stakeholders within your organisation and succession planning and looking at personally where as leaders you want to go and planning for those next stages. So Shannon, for the established business owners, what's the most important idea or principle that they should be focused on for the next 12 months?
Well, 12 months or all the time for me. I touched on it before. I think that commitment, the showing the commitment and the consistency with that, just what that brings to the team and shows the whole organisation is that they know what they're going to get with you all the time. You'll always give 100%, and you expect 100% back from them. You touched on before around, sometimes people can't always bring that, and you can be you're compassionate with that, but ultimately, you want them to bring their best and want to bring their best. And if they don't, well, then it comes back to that fit conversation. But that commitment, consistency is really important. Everyone knows where they sit, and they know where you want to take the business.
Yeah, we as an organisation, we work with EOS worldwide, and so we talk through, we defined, like yourselves have done, defined your vision and your purpose and what your values are, and then each time we have a quarterly, we bring that conversation out to the wider team and bring them into the conversation as well, and just get that buy-in is really important from your employees.
Well, they need an opportunity to come to you with the ideas or issues and where they want to take the business to, and you want to give them that platform. So it's important to have the one-on-ones or the reviews. That's something that we've recently introduced over the last couple of years as well, and that's been a really positive thing.
Yeah. I am a big fan of the one-on-one conversation and, just really understanding who your employees actually are. But also I think, in terms of that management and just making sure that they feel that security at work and that commitment, like we talked about earlier, how do you bring your people into the mix to make sure that they're on board with your strategy and that they have the confidence to speak up. And I think it doesn't matter what role they're in, Aamir. When you were, throwing the newspapers or you were employed as a cleaner, you have ideas and just, I've always said with brainstorming, just really listen to all ideas. And often from a leadership perspective, I'm not sure if you guys have found this, but often the ideas don't come from yourselves. It comes from those other team members. And
it can be sitting right under your nose.
Yep.
And it identifies their ambitions too. So, you might have a person that's a real go-getter there, and you might not have identified that, or you might not cross paths with them. From my perspective, I don't cross paths with a lot of our employees. And once they've got that platform to identify their ambitions and where they want to climb to and what they can do for the business, often, you might be looking outside to recruit. The answer's right there.
We see it now with the increase of TikTok and that younger generation and how important their ideas are, but also the way that we consume information. So we can't stay stagnant. We need to be evolving and we need to be factoring in all those different generational types. David, from a young entrepreneur perspective, what's your one piece of advice for a young entrepreneur that wants to do something really meaningful in this community?
Yeah, I think if anyone wants to listen to anything I had to say, would be to listen to yourself. At the end of the day, it's your journey. It's your entrepreneurial spirit. You have to face the consequences or the rewards of your decisions. So listen to what your heart says. And at the end of the day, that's what makes you an entrepreneur is following your gut instincts and just really, really making sure that to stop when your body's telling you to stop.
That's a great advice, David, and I have seen it in my life as well. Because first of all, when you are making decisions as an entrepreneur, it's very difficult for anyone out there to understand the full picture or understand what you are seeing. So you can't really expect those people to understand it fully, and they would almost doubt what you are doing. So having that belief in yourself and listening to yourself becomes your only tool at that point of time.
Yeah, and it makes it much easier to digest if it's your decision and not somebody else's. You can at least get some hours sleep each night.
That's right.
And, growth doesn't come without risk. And there's times where, like you said, that things won't go like you planned, and just being able to work around that and learn from it is really important. And you see some of the greatest successes in business, Steve Jobs with Apple and Walt Disney, and they were all, had setbacks in their careers, and you just look at them as the successes today. So I think it kind of comes to one of your points in this conversation, Aamir, that there can be this success, and you're all sitting here today as well-deserved recipients of the awards, but there have been setbacks and there are challenges within every business. So, I really agree with everything that you guys have said. And Aamir, you've mentored a number of young entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs. So are there any regular themes that you've seen from those business leaders that you could advise our business community that they need to be doing?
Absolutely. So one thing that I always focus on, and we talked about success, is that success is basically a culmination of when you are trying a lot of things and you keep on trying them, so you increase the frequency of the chances of success. So what it means is that if you're trying every day, you might fail every day, but after 15 days, 20 days, 100 days, you might get a success out of that. And so it's extremely important for you to keep trying and keep pushing. And the more you keep pushing, the more you increase your chances of success. Because there's a lot of factors in there. You can't ensure your success, but you can definitely increase your chances by just giving it a go and trying. Another thing that I always advise to people is that not making a decision or just sort of delaying a decision is also making a decision. You are actually making a decision to delay a decision. So very important for you as an entrepreneur or business owner to make quick decisions and then stand by it. Decisions can be wrong. You can inform your decisions with the knowledge that you have, but just sitting on and saying, okay, we might make a move. So for example, we might embrace AI, but we are too busy at the moment. We might do it in next financial year, or we do not have enough money or resources to invest in it. When you want to make a decision, you should be able to make that decision quickly and act upon it. And just by acting on things quickly, you increase your chances of success from there.
Planning. Well, thank you all for joining me today. And so Aamir, Business Leader of the Year, and Shannon, Business of the Year, David, Young Entrepreneur. It's just incredible to have leaders like you all in our region, and it was an absolute privilege to get to talk to you today and get to see you all celebrate on Thursday night. It was a different delivery for us at the Geelong Arts Centre and a new format for the awards, but it was just great to see everybody get around the business community here, and just even the way that you talk with each other today, just seeing that there's this will to support one another and build out meaningful connections. So on behalf of the Chamber and the Geelong Business Excellence Awards, thank you so much for everything that you do for our region, and we're really excited and cheering you all on to see your future growth and the success of your businesses.
Yeah, look, kudos to you guys on organizing such an amazing event. But the funniest thing was the videos, the social media videos that you guys were making before the event. They were hilarious and they were so engaging to watch. So I would say like the whole Geelong Business Excellence Awards team and the chamber team has done an absolutely amazing job in putting the whole show together. So congratulations to all of you guys as well.
Thank you, Aamir.
Well said, Aamir. Thanks, Mel.
Thanks,
Yeah, and
team.
thanks for having us at
Appreciate you
home
all.
there.
Thank you.